Okay, let's start the meeting for May 5th, or May 1st. It's 5:30 p.m. Call to order. We'll start off with the officers' reports and start with the secretary's report, which I don't think we have the. Do you want to take care of the secretary's report this time, or you want me just to?
Yeah, we just need approval of the minutes.
Well, we got to correct these issues I talked to you about.
Oh, for the amounts.
Yeah, and so I guess what I'm asking the board is, did everybody have an opportunity to read the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions on the minutes?
Only the amounts, and there was a question down here on a motion that was made. I thought I had seconded. I thought it was reversed in one of these. I thought in the board.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a big issue.
Yeah. Well, the issue, as I understand it, and I get back with Michelle, is I want to address two parts. We're pretty certain there's an amount that is wrong on the minutes, and what we want to address is not only the amount, but whether or not we had the correct amount in mind when we decided to, whether it was just an error on your part typing it up, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. So I wanted to ask in two parts. One, let's take the CIT amount that we had agreed to pay. And Michelle, do you know what that was, what we had agreed on that?
That's the correct amount of minutes.
Okay. For some reason, I can't expand this. We had okay, I was thinking the CIT amount was in there, but it's not. That was just a side note for us.
No, there is the CIT amount isn't in the treasurer's report.
There it is at the top, I'm sorry. Okay, the 6,500, is that the correct amount
That's what
that we decided, you remember as treasurer, that we were going to transfer
yes, I mean.
for the CIT amount?
Yeah, it's voted on.
So Tiffany, there'd be no question on that. That's the correct amount. But then down on new business A, we've got a $3,300 motion that it says was put forth and unanimously approved for $3,300, and that would be for the Maloney and Lamp money that we received. Did you get a exact dollar amount for that, Tiffany, on what those checks were?
Yeah, well, sort of, because how it's put in, it's broken up, so it's a little confusing. But so on the first one, on one of them, there was $1,800 paid. So twice, it was broken up into two different amounts.
Is
So,
that the large one?
Is that Maloney or Lamp?
yes, yes.
It's Maloney.
So there was, so that was $3,600 paid altogether, but $1,800 of it went towards, they had a fine on their account, and then $1,000 was for a fine, and $800 was for a previous legal fee. That was back before like all that happened. So, and that was something that the association paid, so we had to, you know, I didn't count that part coming out, because that part didn't go, I mean, that's up to you guys if you want to count that, but I didn't count that.
I'm confused on that. So we paid that legal fee up front, and we received it in the check.
Correct.
So what I'm really trying to get is what is our total amount that we received from that one account and the total from the other account, so that we can add the two totals to transfer to reserves.
So you got, I just said $3,600 on that one.
Okay, 36. And the other one,
confusing, so it doesn't just show like one check going in, it's broken up into the different amounts because of how it's applied, so I have to break it down. There was then 3,200 on that one, and then 800 of it was for fines.
So the total on the second one is,
3,200.
so it'd be 3,200 and 3,600?
Yes.
Okay, I'm very confused because
6. That would be 68.
yeah, that's more than what I.
I was thinking it was around 48.
No. The first one we just discussed, from what I remember from previous, and when I asked last month, the collected amount I was told was $45,82.31 for the first,
The major.
yes. And then it was $18.10 for the second one, which we had a grand total of $6,392.31. Now, this is much less than this one, and this one is more than this one.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, I made a mistake. Sorry.
Let's refer to them by their lot numbers. It's lot 33 and 131.
So 33 is the larger amount.
No.
No, 33 is a smaller
Smaller
amount,
amount.
and the larger amount is 30131. That's the lot number. Here, I'll look at that.
That's the street address, not the lot number.
No, it's the lot numbers.
3031 is not a lot number.
It's
It would
the
be
account
class
number.
3.
131 is what it is, but it's in section 3.
One.
So we got 131.
We're,
And the other
just
one's
mentioned
lot
to you,
3.
we're trying not to mention names, just like.
Got it. Second one
Show
is lot
it, just show it.
33.
Yes.
So what we're thinking, Tiffany, is our understanding was it was around 60 to what?
No, that's correct.
6392.31.
That's correct, because of the first one was, I'm trying to look at the old data reports because it's, if you
Oh,
guys see what I see on the ledger card, it's confusing and you can't understand it. So that's what I made a mistake. So 4566 from 131.
So it's 45.
40, 66.
And then the other one was 2,400.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
9.
Lot 33 is 2,400.
So that would be 6966. Was it 2?
Yes.
She did say she did 2,400.
Michelle.
Okay,
She's
so,
saying it would be 4566
I got that.
all
and
right,
2,400
we
for a
started,
total of 6966.
I'm sorry to say that again because I didn't pick up.
Yeah.
Right here is what I got. This lot right here is what I got.
Okay, so then we collected more than what I have record of from last month's meeting.
Should be good to-
Just so that
well, yeah, we ended up with more.
No, we still ended up with more.
A few $100,
Okay, so we're positive this is the amount?
That's the amount that they owed on their last accounts receivable report before we reported a zero balance. So that, yes.
Well, I think in terms of banking and checks and stuff, so what I'm trying to be sure of is that we actually received checks for these amounts so that we know what we transfer is exactly right. Is there any way for you to check
So
the
the
checks
only-
received?
The only way I can do that is by going back and pulling the bank statements and seeing what was deposited, which I can do that. I just, obviously,
I will have, let me see, I could pull up last month's bank statement. I don't have this month's.
they were deposited in March, right, or is it April?
Yeah, if it's March, I don't have it, or April, I don't have it. Let's see, March statement. I do have March statement, March 31st.
I guess why I'm confused is because last month it was 1810 on lot 33. So to equal up to this 2,400, because I know they settled for a lesser amount for this account, is that 2,400 equaling anything that was owed after what we actually collected for past dues or for past amount? Because I'm trying to figure out why it's more.
So why don't I send you their ledger card, and then maybe,
Build up. Okay, but it's not gonna help with what I guess we're gonna, just trying to do tonight.
In other words, I think we need to have the right amount in the minutes meeting so that if there's a difference amount that's transferred, we don't have a discrepancy. We want them both to balance. And let's see, I'm showing. See, I have what's an RDC deposit? Do you know what that means? RDC? I have a deposit for $45.82.31, a credit, not a deposit, credit. But I'm not sure if that might be dues.
See, that's what I.
That's probably dues. So I don't
what
have
month was
anything.
that?
Excuse me?
What month was that?
It's in March. But I think we might have got the check in February. Let me check and see. Don't have it February either. So it has to be in
So it
April.
was March 2nd that it was received, the 131, and it was,
Is that when you received it?
that's when it's on the cash receipt summary form.
Then you must have received it in January for them to get it in March on the book, because it's not on the statement.
No, I don't think we received it in January.
Their dates weren't even until one of them, they did in January and one was in February, and 131.
And they paid
Okay,
just.
so 131 was 45.81. That's the exact amount.
Where are you seeing that, on the bank statement?
On the cash receipt summary.
Okay, on the Century cash
Yes.
receipt summary.
Yeah,
What was that amount for 131?
45.81.
Okay,
And
so
that's,
that's a little bit less than what I had, so not by but $1.31.
And the other one, I think we might have received in January.
so that was 45.
I mean, one exactly, which is recorded. For lot 131.
total would be around $1,800, I think. Or that's what I had in my mind that it was,
That's-
after all the adjustments the judge made.
That's what I have.
That would fall in line better. If that would be around the 60. Well, if you want to, while you're looking for that, we'll move on and come back to it.
Okay, I have it right now, I just, that one was 3239.
You sure?
I can show you right here.
No, I'm not
where
gonna
it was
argue as long as
received.
you're sure. 32,
3239.
we had so many numbers thrown, okay. Anybody got a calculator?
That was received on January 19th.
Excuse me?
1720.
See, that's way more than,
Well, we got several numbers on that one account because we had to wait for the legal part to come through and find out what we were gonna actually get and not get because of the judge, because he threw out stuff and then added stuff. Am I correct in that, Tiffany?
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what came through to our lockbox from the attorney, so,
When was it received?
on January 19th.
Okay, so are we to assume that we're gonna get $7,820 transferred into the reserves?
If that's what you guys are wanting, I need that in.
We want all that money going into the reserves is what we voted on the last board meeting.
Okay.
I'll pass it around to see if anyone wants to argue the point. Jim? Michelle?
that's what I would like, yes.
Pam?
That too.
I just question, do we have to put any of that back in operating? Because
No.
that's where it was supposed to be originally, or no?
No.
Okay.
We,
Well, isn't it currently in operating?
no,
Once she
well, it's
receives
in
it.
operating, we want to transfer it to
Yeah.
reserves to rebuild our reserves because
But it's stated.
it's violations and fines, and so it's, for lack of a better word, found money. We shouldn't put it in operations, we should put it, this is only my opinion, we should put it in reserves. We can use money out of reserves if we want to, but let's rebuild our reserves was the whole
Yeah.
point.
I just want to make sure that if it was supposed to be in operating expenses, that's where it usually goes to. If they had to
No,
stay there,
because,
then
remember,
when you pay your dues, it goes to operating expenses.
yes,
And where some of this past dues, it
Yes.
wasn't on, so should that stay there or not? That's my question.
well, the point is, we don't need it there. We can put it in reserves and have it there. Think of it as a savings account.
Yeah.
That's, you guys
I
want to
get it.
relitigate this thing.
No, I like
Okay.
it to build up our reserves. I just want to make sure we're doing,
There isn't
Okay, so
any
we're gonna hold with
requirement
our-
to keep it in operating, is there?
So we're gonna hold with the,
Tiffany says there's no obligation for us to keep it in operating.
it's all.
no, we did, yeah, we went over this ad nauseum last time. So I'm just making sure the total that we want, are we gonna adjust the minutes to the proper
That's what
amount?
I'm trying to do right now, I just need somebody to make a motion.
I make a motion that we transfer the $7,820 that we've collected into our reserve account.
All four, say aye.
I'll
Or
second the motion.
Sorry. All in favor? Aye. So 7820.
We have to make a motion to change the minutes.
No, we
No.
just have to make a motion to approve. Okay, that settles that. So are we through with the minute situation then, or do we have to go ahead and sign it and do all that, Tiffany? Or are you gonna resend that out with the corrections, right?
Yeah, I'll have to correct it and then I'm gonna send it.
All right.
Also, for the past minutes, because I have like 3 months that haven't been signed because we didn't have a secretary for a while, can I send those to Pam? She can
Yes.
sign them, or you want someone else to sign them?
No, I think family would be more than capable.
Okay.
Is that all right with you, Pam?
Yeah, I'll just check with you to be sure that they're
Yeah, they've already been approved, so.
They've already been approved,
Yeah.
you just haven't been
We
signed.
have to-
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can do
I
that.
can sign it.
Okay. No, I'll sign it, I don't have a problem.
Okay, then Tiffany, would you do the first part of the treasury report?
Hold on, please.
No.
Yes. There was another amendment, one of the corrections in minutes. Under new business, subsection, excuse me. Good thing I'm not on radio. Subsection B is reversed. I made the motion.
They already fixed it. Yeah, we already discussed
Oh,
it.
she fixed it. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
Sorry.
That is my voice going.
Sorry, I moved
9
on.
years ago, too. Okay, sorry.
Well, join the crowd. Okay, so we're through with the minutes.
Yes.
Let's go on with the treasurer. If you did your part there, Tiffany.
For the month of March, the total assets and liabilities are $31,381.79. The association has a year-to-date surplus of $1,699. Grounds is under budget, $61.84. Utilities is under budget, $81.45. And administrative is under budget, $1,553. That's all.
Let me just interject something here, just my own personal. I didn't get a board packet. Did you only have a couple made up?
No, I thought you had one in front of you.
Well, I got it on my computer, but sometimes it's easier for me to. Thank you. Michelle, you have anything to add?
No, I don't.
Okay, I just want to point out something, just for FYI, because it always bothers me. You see at the very bottom, surplus deficit, it's a deficit of $215.27. If you go back up to the income, which is 4806, you have to take into consideration, you have your Excel spreadsheet where you're the $678.15 is not truly income for if you were looking at profit and loss statements. That's an accounting only adjustment.
It's on a printout that I print out. that I make
It's in the
out.
total
It's not
income.
on here.
So it's not on the
Yes,
sheet?
no,
we have
but
to
you
look
would-
at? Okay.
The only reason I'm pointing out, I used to point it out every meeting when I was the treasurer, that's in there for accounting because it is an income, but it's automatically expended into a separate account. So for profit and loss type issues, it's really not. So I always adjust it out. The actual income instead of 48 is actually 4127. And then if you go to, which I don't think you're going to have it on yours, I'll just read it to you. When you go to the bottom, where it says $215 in the deficit, you'd also take out special assessment repairs, which is $1,417, basically adding it back, and you end up with actually a plus of $591. If you were looking at, in a business, did we make money or lose money? That's really where it's sitting. So when you look at those numbers, they're accurate for accounting, but they're not necessarily accurate for, when you look at the total year-to-date budget, you have to kind of think in terms of, it's fluid, and this is there, but there are adjustments that would be made, so, sorry.
No, I don't have anything else to add unless someone has any questions for me.
Okay, manager's report?
Nobody had any questions about the arrears report?
Yeah.
You knew you were going to catch it on that one, didn't you?
I was surprised when I tell you about it.
You go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna ask, seems going lot 0033. It says it's at the attorney still. Do we have an update on what they're doing with that?
We don't. It's just, that is still there because it never went to a zero balance. So that stays open, just like an intent to lien, it would stay open until the account goes to a zero
Because now
balance.
she's still behind the quarterlies, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it gets up to that point, then the attorney's gonna take it back over and,
Gets up to what point?
I
don't know.
I don't know, I would have to check.
Yeah, I had a question mark on that too. Sorry, I was looking for my report. What was your question?
When it's at the attorney's hand, we can't touch it, so we can't do intentionally.
That was one of the questions I had
It's at
on,
the attorney, so I'm just wondering what the status
are
is.
you talking about lot 33?
Yeah. I'm just
All right, that
wondering-
was one of the questions I had. Is that actually at the attorney? Because we never approved another payment to
It's
the
still
attorney.
been with the
Still on
attorney.
the old,
Yeah.
and I think you told me that last month.
Because she never zeroed it out.
So, should we reach out to the attorney and find out what the status is?
Yep,
I'm sorry, I know that's what you were
So
asking.
131 is back there too.
Well, he's not at the attorney.
No, but I mean, it's back on the list.
Yeah, but we have a specific question for that.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question.
All right, well, go ahead, because I
What
wanted to
about
ask about,
131. Because it doesn't say he's at the attorney, but he's getting back up there again.
so he's not the attorney because his account did go to zero, so it started over.
So now we have to start
Um,
over with that one?
Yes, we'd have to start over at, you know.
And then the first one, lot 105,
yeah, I was going to ask about.
where are we standing with that? We have the, it was
There's been
filed,
an intent to lien filed, yes.
and then what happened?
You have to wait for, it's 65 days per, no, 55 days per state statutes now. And then we can file a lien.
All right, if you go all the way down to 103, 020103, and you look across, just actually above it, you see from there going back to the top, you're over $100 on those, and I see that we do have some explanations from some of them. At what point are we going to start pushing the envelope? In other words, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 at 110, and then 135, 141, 142, 229, 349, 508. We already talked about.
So it's going to follow your assessment management policy that we have on file that was done a while ago. It's going to follow that and it's automatic, so it's not something I can like
Talking about
push.
the NOLA? What are you talking about?
Your collection policy, it's
Yeah.
going to follow that. So once it gets to whatever point on your, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know. But whenever it gets to that point on your collection policy, it will automatically file you an intent to lien.
I remember talking about that, but I cannot recall the number.
I can pull it up.
In the second quarter, they were due the middle of April, or the first of April, then we got about 15 days.
Well, my
So
point
these
is, I
are-
don't want it to get large again before
Oh,
we
yeah, I
start
know.
doing something, but we also don't want to pull the trigger too quick.
But it takes forever.
Yeah.
You're talking 45 days before usually anything will get done, after you send your letters.
Well, that's state statute, so unfortunately.
Can I ask one simple question? On lot 21, where does a $15 charge come in? Because it's 15 and then there's an asterisk and then there's 0 and then it comes after that and then so what exactly is the $15?
She didn't pay her new duty. She paid 70 instead of 85.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So that was the difference.
She didn't change her auto pay to be updated to 85.
I understand.
So you reached out to her too?
She's gotten a reminder notice, yeah. I can't reach out to anyone about collections, about money that's due.
Since they,
Well, whatever.
So
She's gotten a
it's-
reminder.
Yeah, so it's after they are 70 days past the due date that an intent to lien will go into effect. So meaning
And
they
we
have
don't
to
know
be
what-
2 quarters and 10 days past due.
is that something that's automatically triggered on your
Yes.
side in the computer?
Yes.
Okay, so some of these are going to start triggering.
Yes.
Okay. Again, if you notice that we're in really good shape so far on this, for your information, Pam, the NOLA that the state instituted, we had to start following, has worked great for us. It has really cleared up a lot of arrearages, so it's been a wonderful
I
thing.
noticed the top group is still growing.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
I know. That's my major concern.
Yeah, and I believe on lot 33 and lot 131, we shouldn't give any grace at all with those two. As soon as those days come, we need to trigger whatever and do whatever we have to do on those three, so that we don't end up with a pile again. So,
Will you vote again
okay.
tonight?
Okay. Okay, violations. Jim, do you have any questions on violations?
No.
Oh, wait, she didn't do her manager report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to your manager's report. Are you finished with it?
I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys
she did
want
start,
me
but she
to
got her
read it,
arrearages.
but, the board packet was completed, the draft minutes were completed. Approved ARB applications were sent to the owners. Processed and approved invoices. March financial summary was completed. I updated or reviewed the delinquent accounts and updated the arrears report with notes. The property visit was completed on 4/3. The paperwork to approve the lump sum payment of the loan was submitted. It is sitting in my queue because Rocky told me to hold off, so we didn't know if the amount was correct. The paperwork to transfer the funds was submitted. I did ask them to hold off on that, so that way I can make sure the amount was correct. And then the board listing was updated to remove Barbara and add Pam.
Anybody have any questions to Tiffany on the manager report?
One other thing I did not put on there, I did receive another landscaping proposal, however, I didn't send it to you because it was so far out of the ballpark, it shouldn't have even been, reviewed, so.
Okay, well, we're gonna go over that in a few minutes. Jim, you got anything on the violations report?
Yeah, I have just two questions. One is, including when I made my own inspection, I want to get, we're going back and forth with this, and maybe my numbers are not clear. But how, it's a very dim light, almost to the point where it's worthless. Is that a violation, or just the fact that they have the light on is fine?
Well, we were talking about doing a bulb last,
Yeah.
a certain amount of bulb.
Yeah, certain light bulbs, so we want to go with that? Is that you wait for your does, or? I don't know that. And no, you're absolutely right. Reprimand me, I thought you said correct, you're absolutely right.
I recall that we did talk about it, and we talked about it several times, and we've never come to any conclusion. And I'll ask you to comment when I throw this out there. I thought we talked about like a 40-watt bulb would be the minimum. I don't recall that we did a vote or anything like that on it. Do you remember anything like that?
I remember what you said, but I don't recall we reached the conclusion of what you said.
What's your memory?
I remember 40 watts.
What we were talking about is we're trying to push the light situation. A lot of people have really dim lights, some of them not, some too bright, some this, some that. We was trying to get to some sort of agreement on whether there should be a minimum wattage or brightness. And we kind of threw out that a 40 watt was probably an acceptable. We've all seen dim lights, so what do you think?
We were talking about the lights, but then we were talking about also that probably the president was gonna wipe out wattages or whatever and make us not do what's involved, so then we should sort of stop that, possess it further on that. So I think, yeah, we definitely need a lot of that, and address something with solar, because solar lights don't last at all.
All right, then, would it be appropriate for me to suggest that we think about it, add it to the agenda for next month and do a vote? Or how do we handle putting a regulation on wattage? Tiffany, is that something the board can vote on, or does it have to be?
I honestly don't know.
Could it be part of the planning criteria?
It could, and the board can amend that, but you would need to mail it out to all the owners with a 14-day notice at the meeting to change it.
Okay, to amend
Because it's like the rules and regulations, so, and the board has the right to
so
put it in place, but you would
board
still have to
be
do a notice.
interested in us putting that on the agenda for next month and discussing it and making a vote, or
Do we
can we
possibly,
do the, no, we would agree to do it, then send out the letter saying it's been done, or we have to get,
You have to mail it, you have to mail out a 14-day notice, letting everyone know that that's gonna be discussed at a board meeting and voted upon.
How about we put it in with our annual meeting discussion, because then it could be another sentence added to the paperwork that's already been mailed out. We don't have the extra cost for mailing another letter. We have
That would be
plenty-
the best thing.
it sounds like a winner to me, so we're gonna add that into our annual.
But we have to put that in that day, that's gonna be voted on that day?
Yeah.
Also,
It
add in
would,
there
it
whether,
would be done at the budget meeting, because you can't do board business at the annual meeting.
Right,
So
separate.
it would be done at the budget meeting, which is a board meeting.
all right, that's, a little approach from that. I wanted to, as long as we're talking about that, should we, as a board, discuss, we already have it in our documents, that we are allowed to go on property and repair lamps. Should we discuss fixing lamps and billing the homeowner? The ones that, if you look on your violations, some of them are recent, but some you have that are quite old and are not communicating. Should we talk about sending a letter that we're going to fix the lamp and bill them? And hire a contractor to fix the lamp?
Is that not also something we could discuss at the annual meeting, since everybody would be there?
Well, the problem is,
It's already in your documents, so it's not
yeah,
something that you guys.
we have the right to go on your property and fix your lamp. I think if the issue might be how do we notify you and how long it takes us to notify you before we do it for people who are not fixing it when they've got 2 or 3 notices.
Right.
I was gonna say, if we send someone a first notice and they've not complied, by the time we go through and do an inspection, couldn't we send that out to the next letter? That way we've given them 30 days to correct it?
Well, I
Well,
guess we
can't
have
we put
to,
in the letter that if this isn't cured by X amount of date, the board member can get out on your property and fix it, and then you get charged for it, because if you don't, otherwise you give them.
we
2
send a
months.
letter to them saying, we're going to repair your lamp. This is just what my preliminary thought. We're going to repair your lamp if you don't fix it, and you're going to have to reimburse.
That's what she
That's what I'm saying.
said. That's
So
what she
It's
did.
the letter that goes out saying your lamp is in violation, and not a letter saying,
Right.
if it's not cured by X
Within.
date, then we get to go on. So that's why you should give them 2 months.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
30 days in between inspections.
Yeah, but then you got, then you want to give them a letter.
But what if they've cured? Well,
Well, we have to know
It's not
whether it's
cured
been
by
cured.
surgery.
Here's an example. Here's one that in January of '23 has been out. I asked Linda to check on that because it happens to be a neighbor, and she told me it's been repaired. But that was going to be an example of what I was talking about is you're going on 5 months now, it hasn't been repaired, but she did repair it. Fine.
Can I suggest that, like, when we do our report, what I did this week, this time is I put down the ones that were fixed, I put down fixed, and then I put that on my list, so then Tiffany should remove them, if we do that right.
That's why we go over them to tell her if they're fixed, she can remove them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to get to that.
I think Michelle's idea is a good one, whether, after, when they're notified that their lamp isn't working, either that at that point or in the subsequent follow-up, because obviously they're not doing it, state that unless we receive evidence that this has been rectified, it will be repaired and you will be responsible for payment at that point.
So you're thinking 60 days time frame, roughly?
Well, most of the repairs, unless I'm wrong, but most of the repairs are changing the light. Most of the people that are having light problems, most, not all, but most of them.
And of course, they could always notify us and say, there's a major issue here, I need time.
I'm not quite sure how you're coming up with the 60-day number, because if you're
Well, every
doing
30
an
days is
inspection, you're
inspection.
getting an inspection, so you give them until the next inspection, and then if it has not been
That's 30 days.
satisfied within that 30 days, we will enter your property, and this is the charge.
Couldn't it be 15 days or, I mean, here's the letter, cure it within 15 days, if not, it's like we just discussed last time, it was safety, we got the safety issue with the lights,
Who
right?
is gonna go on their property though?
Contract.
What
Would
will
that open up a
lamps,
liability for a contractor?
The documents say we are allowed to go on the property and repair lamps.
Right, but as a
So if the contractor says he'll do it, then let him do it.
I just want to put out that I've yet to find a contractor that will do that.
I'm just gonna say it home.
It's a difficult thing. I haven't found it.
I don't know. Well, see, here's my issue with almost everything we try to do, or not necessarily what I bring up, but it seems to me like anything that anybody brings up, it's always, can't do anything. So why bother?
Well, if it's
Why
only-
bother to have a list?
If it's
We
only,
can't do anything.
right, if it's only a light bulb,
It's not the question of the light bulb, it's a
No, I was
question
just
of, are you
asking.
fixing it?
asking the question, if it's only a case of a light bulb needing to be replaced, if we, as board members, step on their property, we're covered. The contractor cannot, but we could go up and change the light bulb.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
All right, then I would say we're stuck.
Because you broke my light. Now I want a new one. I mean, I just,
You have a liability in either case then.
right.
The
and
contractor
the
does or
question-
we do.
Go ahead, Mr.
If after the 30 days it's not repaired, can we do it with the fining committee that it's fine at that point if it's not repaired?
That's another subject.
That's just my suggestion.
You would think. You would think. But I mean, I'm being real with you guys. We don't do anything. We talk about it, but we're not willing to pull the trigger on anything.
Well, I know I would not.
Nobody wants to do anything to fix any problem. We just want to talk about it. I'm not saying that we should do what I want, but I'm saying every single time we end up in a spot to where, why put a lamp broken on this list? For what? If we're not going to force them to fix it, and how do we force them? And that's really, I don't want to go on their lot and change it. I don't want to fix their light, but if we could get better ideas on how to force them to fix it, and if it's through the fining committee, I'm all for it. But we can't even get a fining committee together.
Out of 10 of them, out of 10 of them, that say fixed on here, I only got one that's still a solar and one that's dim. So I got a good compliant, I mean, after putting it on the list in the letter, they did fix them.
Did you go to every single one on this list?
On my section that I
Yeah,
did.
your section, but it's not the whole
Well, that's what I'm
membership.
saying, I don't know if Michelle put the ones that hers were fixed, I don't know.
I let Tiffany know when they're fixed or
All right,
not.
let me just give you a quick example, and then we'll move on. This is March 3rd. Wrong thing, not a lamp. Not a lamp. ARBs. Lamp post. This one is confusing. This is 4-4 and 4-10. Oh, they called. Working lamp post, January. Working lamp post, January. Repair light, January. So there's 3 just on the bottom last 2 pages that may or may not be fixed. But if they are fixed, they're not taken off the list. So that means our inspector's not seeing them.
Yeah, but she just
But-
stood before, she went before.
I don't know what she went before
She went
this.
on the 4/4,
Oh, okay.
April 4th, okay? And then we went just before the meeting to do it, so then I realized it's fixed, so I put fixed, and now she has it, so that should be off the next month.
Okay, and I agree, but I'm looking at the big picture, you're looking at one individual thing. I'm saying, what do we do to get the lights fixed? Do we forget it, or do you guys want to do something, or do we move it to the annual meeting, or?
well, the first thing is, what can we do? And the obvious solution is to threaten them that we're going to do it, but obviously this is not something either we want to put off or do ourselves, or we can't get a contractor to do. So therefore, Well, that's
Well, we
not.
don't know we can't get a
Well,
copy.
all right, well, is that something we want to, I mean, let's take it like a real problem, yeah?
I say that we try putting a fine like we do on any other violation, because most people probably have not gotten a fine if the light's out past a certain amount of time. We've never taken that approach, I don't believe. So why don't we try that first? See if we get the response for the repeating violators, and then if not, we'll try to take it the next step further.
Can we do it? Do we have a finance?
Yes.
Yeah, if we could get them to meet.
So then
I've
reality.
been on the
you
board
have the
6
funding,
years,
but-
and I've only known the finance committee once or twice to meet. And I'm sorry to be so negative, but my point is this, is every meeting we hear about lights not working. And I also hear from members saying, you know, why are you going over this stuff? It's a waste of time, this and that. But then the next meeting, we get complaints of lights. So I just thought, and I stumbled across that in the documents that say you can fix it and build them. But now, nobody wants to do that. And my point is this, I'll do whatever the board wants to do, but I say, start taking some of this stuff off this list if we're not gonna push it.
I don't think it's not that anyone doesn't want to do it, but as Tiffany said, she doesn't know of a contractor in her past experience that will. And I know myself, I'm not entering someone's property and going nose to nose.
I wouldn't
with their home.
suggest you did, but I'm saying the documents say we can do it. If a contractor is willing to do that, we don't know, we haven't checked.
Then, Rocky, I suggest, as Jim did, that we start saying that we're going to find them if it's not repaired within a specific period of time, and send them to know.
Now,
Because I think if we're going to bill them $25 to replace, if they don't replace
oh,
their
it'll
light.
cost them a lot more than that, trust me. Just a light bulb will be $200 to get replaced. That's what they wanted to replace light bulbs for us at the entrances.
The
Yeah.
company would come out.
Well, no, I mean, if we say we're going to fine them $25 if they need to replace their light bulb, aren't they going to go to the store and buy a light bulb and put it in themselves?
You would think. You would
It's not
think.
going to cost them $25 to do that.
I see the majority of the people on here, at least on my side, that when I'm doing the things, the majority of the people are fixing them and putting new bulbs in there. The ones I see issue with are the ones that are too dim and the ones that are solar. And I think, I don't know, Michelle, how many of you seen that have been fixed that you looked at?
I think
All right,
the last.
let's get back to Robert's rules. No, we're not gonna start this again. What I would like for us to do, you guys can tell me to pound sand if you want to. Let's make a decision, do we want to enforce the lights?
Yes.
And if we do, how about this? How about everybody think about it? And at the next meeting, let's talk about it and come up with ideas. And in the meantime, I'll call our guy and ask him, would he be interested in doing it? If we ask him to go to my house and, you know, fix my light, bill me, would he do that? Let me find out for you. And go from there. I understand clearly where you're coming from, but for me, it's a bigger issue. And that is, okay, so we had, let's, just for the sake of argument, 10 lights. And 3 people fixed theirs, so it's not a problem. Yes, it is. There's still 7 lights, and out of those 7, 6 are 3 months, 4 months old. Do we force it or not force it? That's really where I'm coming from. Should we do that, or you guys just want to forget it? I mean, I don't want to do this if you don't think it's that big an issue. I guess is really where I'm coming from. We see that, we see no ARBs. We see, you know, painting the house without getting the colors approved. We see garage doors that they fix. I had 2 other things I wanted to follow up on. I wanted to have a short meeting, but I want to do this. I also wanted to throw out there, can we add, if we can do that with lights, how could we make it to where we could do it with mailboxes? If you don't fix your mailbox, we're going to send the contractor to fix your mailbox and you're going to be billed. How would we do that? Again, we change the Can the board vote on that, or does it have to be
It's already in your document, so it's not something you just have to.
for us to go and fix
We
your
would just have to
mailbox?
give them a 14-day notice saying if it's not repaired by this date, then the association will have someone do it.
For a
and then
mailbox?
they'll- Yes, it's in your documents that they have to do upkeep.
Well, I know that, but there was a specific line for lights, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay, I'd have to review your document to be sure, but I mean, you guys probably have the self-help in there.
Now, just again, if you guys would think about it, maybe in next month, but look at the lights and look at the mailboxes when you go through the neighborhoods. The mailboxes are, I'm talking about laying over, leaning, too short, you know, obviously need to be fixed. Hurricanes blew a lot over, so did they do with the lights. And it just really looks bad if you start noticing it. Or should we not worry about it? We've got several mailboxes we can't get fixed. They just refuse to do it. All of you that go back down Country Walk and see that, what do you call that, traditional box or continental column or whatever, it's laid over like that and that. And we've been sending letters supposedly for a year. Nothing. So I was just wanted to throw that out there. If we did it for the lamps, could we do it for the mailboxes? Just those two things would improve the neighborhood's appearance a lot. You'll let us know by the next meeting
About what's your document say?
whether we could do mailboxes.
Yes.
And then I'll find out whether a contractor would.
I think just do the light bulb.
Well,
We can do the light bulb. Fix the light bulb.
Yes.
Why don't, for the next meeting, why don't we just expand this topic as to enforcement? Because obviously, it's not that we've been lax in enforcement, we have no key, or we have not shown our key. So sending a letter saying, listen, your mailbox, your light, whatever, if it isn't taken care of by a certain date, it's going to be done by a contractor. Be prepared for a minimum charge of $250. We'd certainly get their attention.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree with you. Unless you know, certain people, unless you bite them or like a cop, unless he arrests you, you know, hey, F off officer, and if he takes it, now you know you can do it every time you want to do it.
And I appreciate you saying that, because that's kind, you get me, that's kind of where I was trying to articulate.
So the question is, with certain things like people painting their houses, doing all sorts of things and telling us, well, screw it, you know, we're not going to do it. Unless you're going to tell them, hey, take it down. And that sends a message. Like every time in May, end of March, if you've read the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, the financial papers, there's always a story of the IRS with a big indictment of people pulling certain scams. Why do they do it, and why do they do it at the end of March? Because they want to send a message out to everybody, hey, don't do this, you know, that's what you're going to do. And, you know, people, the word's starting to spread the other way from what I'm seeing and what you're saying, is that you can pretty well get away with it, you know? Paint the house, and so it's already a fait accompli. You know, what are you going to do? And how much teeth do we want to enforce, you know?
Okay, so on that note, I wanted to throw one more caveat in there. I just wanted to throw out to the board for you to be thinking also. I think you would all agree, and I've gotten off my agenda, but this kind of blends in. Constant, no ARVs. And generally, it's the same 5%, 10%, 20% that don't do it. And then there's a certain percentage that no matter what you send them in a letter form, they still don't do it. How would you guys feel, or would you think about, we do have a $25 fine that we can assess for somebody not filling out an ARV. How about if we had 25 to 100, 25 to 150, 25 to $200 that we can assess for not filling out an ARV? Would the board have any interest in discussing that. Going through the fining committee, we have a $25 we can assess, but could we expand it, or should we, is it legal to, I might make you pay 25, but you 150, then we're in a lawsuit,
And we're gonna be consistent.
It
yeah,
has to be uniform.
but, okay. Well, first of all, we don't even assess the 25 at all,
It
never.
still has to go in front of the fining committee. You can't do it without a fining committee.
That's my next subject. But should we, what's 25 bucks? Do they care? Is it worth the lien you put on their house?
You can't put a lien on the house.
Then how do we ever collect it if I, you don't?
Unless it reaches $1,000, you can't do anything about it.
I tell you, that is so frustrating. So then why do we bother?
So how was the fine established? By board vote?
Board, yeah. But the
So the
thing
board
is,
can up the fine then?
okay, but if I will not submit an ARB to you,
Right.
even after letters, you've been caught, will you at least fill out the form? And I assess a $25 fine, and I say, found sand. We can't collect it. So why bother? Unless we can figure out a way around this.
Well, one of the ways, sir, one of the ways would be to increase the fine. And-
But if you can't collect it,
Well, it's up to $200 you can.
how?
What do you mean how?
She just said you can't enforce it.
Why can't you enforce
Unless
it?
it reaches
State statute
$1,000.
doesn't allow you to do a lien on fines unless it reaches $1,000.
Can we put a $1,000 fine for not doing it?
It's only a maximum of $100 per day.
Okay, so,
So it could accumulate to $1,000 if we say it's compounded. If it's not,
So
if
say-
it's not, yeah, if it's
say
not done
someone-
within 20 days, then it doubles and.
So
kind of
say
thing.
someone paints their house with an ARB, we send them a letter and say, you need to submit an ARB for this, and they don't submit an ARB, then we can start accumulating that fine per day after they've seen the fining committee.
we have to go to the fining committee to do that.
Yes.
Or you have to go to the fining committee for everything else, so what difference does that make?
Okay, then my next point, what's the update on the fining committee?
They're ready to roll. I just have to give them a list for this month. The only reason they didn't meet last month is because I only had one home on there and we didn't feel it was necessary to meet for one. So we're just rolling that over to this month. So after I do my visit, if the ones that I have on my list, I think I have 4 or 5. If they're not cured, then they will be rolled over to the fining committee.
Okay, let me follow that up, and if any of y'all have any comments, just make a note and we'll get to you, but let's say that we put a $25 fine on Rocky, and you send me the letter, right? How long do we have to wait before we put it before the fining committee?
I mean, if you guys vote to impose a fine, then they've already seen the fining committee. Because the fining committee has to say, yes, the board has the right to impose this fine. And it'll come back to the board, and the board will say, we are.
Yeah, I understand that, but let's say I got that letter yesterday.
Mhm.
Can you find me through the fining committee when it meets
Yes.
and the board can determine, find him?
It starts that day of the
Or
year.
once the board receives it, it starts that day accumulating? Or,
It starts accumulating the day of the fining committee hearing.
okay, that might work. I know you've told us that, I don't know how many times I've heard it over the years, but I can never remember.
But still, we need to increase your figure. Increase it.
Yes.
We can increase the amount. Can we do that as a vote like now?
I don't see why not. You could put it under the violations section,
All right,
or the
first of
fining
all,
committee section.
Let me go with you first, Linda. What do you think about that? Should we increase the fine for the
But
ARB?
let me make a recommendation here. I think that the board should come up with a fining schedule, so that way we have it in writing, it's set forth, and that way it's uniform for everybody. So you would put together a fining schedule and say, for this violation, it would be this much fine. For this violation, it's gonna be this much fine. And that way, the fining committee has something to follow, I have something to follow, and it's uniform. So if anybody says, well, how'd you come up with this fine for me? And we could say, this is the fining schedule put forth by the board.
So we would have a fine for the ARB, a fine for not fixing your light,
Yes.
of another amount, a
Yes.
fine for
Mailbox.
mailbox. for
And you
another
can do
amount.
it, you can do some of them like a straightforward fee, so this fine is $25 flat fee. For this one, it's gonna be $10 per day up until it's fixed or something, or it reaches $1,000. So that, like so you can set that in different, for different
See,
categories.
that would be promising as far as I'm concerned, because the NOVA sure worked. I was totally against that, but it has really worked.
I think I have one for another property I can send you as a,
Do you have anything on there about law?
Should we add this to our agenda for next month?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, then I'll research that and get the information out to everybody before the meeting. And anything you can think of is reoccurring violations. There's generally just 4 or 5 that reoccur, but
Tiffany, could you send that to
yeah, I'll send it
Rocky
to the
and-
whole board.
Okay, to all of us.
It has the name of the association on it, but it's not any private information, so
Okay.
it's just town clerk.
and I
So that we-
apologize for getting so,
Then we can discuss it, Rocky, for how we want to add it to the.
yeah, I think it's a great idea for a tiered thing. And I apologize for getting so passionate about this, but 6 years, it's been coming up for 6 years, and we haven't done anything for 6 years.
Well,
My
yeah,
understanding,
one of your problems with enforcement of fines is whether or not the fine is a deterrent. Now, for many years, in Manhattan, New York City, the fine for illegal parking was $5. To put it in a public garage was $20. So, would you park illegally, or would you go to a garage? Of course. So they had to come up with a different way, and one was to raise the fine, but the other one was booting and towing away the cars that were parked illegal. So that gave the person a second thought. If they come into Manhattan from Westchester, let's say, their car might not be there in addition to the fine. So that's another thing. If the penalty is so lukewarm or so minor, it doesn't serve as a deterrent, you know.
well, we got a double-edged sword because we're lukewarm, or as I like to say, no teeth, and we're not willing to push the envelope with our fining committee. We've had such an issue with even getting anybody. And now my opinion is if we messed around, I don't even know if the 3 people will be there when we decide to have a meeting. And we're back to square one again. I'm hoping so. So, anyway, I think that would be an excellent alternative to going on their lot and fixing the form, is if we could do it that way. Probably a lot less offensive. So, I would certainly agree with that.
I already sent it to you, and it has a sample of the letter that was sent out to the owners advising them of the fines and everything.
All right, let's jump back into
Did you send?
the ARBs.
Did you send me?
I sent it to the entire board.
I do have a couple extra ARBs that came in to me that I'd like to present when the time's right, but unless somebody has something else about the last subject, I get to go back around. Anything else? Let's do the ARBs. 3429 garage door, Country Walk Drive, a black garage door. Do you guys have the copy, or do you want me to pass it around?
I've got it.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with the garage door being replaced on 3429?
His pillars black, they looked like they were brown to me.
But the guy with the swim,
Yeah.
yeah, they're black. I think they're black.
Okay. When it said black, I thought it was colored in brown.
Anybody have a problem? Okay, you want to sign?
This is the,
Yeah, that's
this is black.
no, the door's gonna be black.
Oh, it
That's
looks-
windows.
yeah, it looks tan.
That's windows.
That's just a sample.
Yeah, but it looks tan.
Yeah,
It does look
but
tan.
that's the style.
That's just a sample of the style,
All right.
yes.
I guess black is black. Which I
With- Don't break out and sing the song "Black is Black" right there.
Any opposition? All for? Aye. Next one is 3432 Spring Load Spring Oak Lane. She wants to replace her cracked concrete driveway with pavers. The colors she wants to use are those sandstone pavers like the other people on the same cul-de-sac have. Anybody have a problem with it?
She's not going on the apron, right?
No. Although the neighbors across the street did. So
Did they
they,
tell them they couldn't?
no, they did that circle.
See,
Yeah.
This is going to be the same as the front of the house, is that what she's saying? Or
It's,
complement meaning what?
the sandstone is the color. You know, you see them all over the place, the beige and white. She's got the,
Okay.
give it to them.
you gotta scan those, scan them.
And she is okay.
All right, the next one is 3460 Martingale, replacing all the windows.
Did we approve 163?
Yes. And I did get ahead of myself, so I forget to, do the eyes and so forth, remind me that. On 3460? Okay.
I didn't see what color.
They're white.
White.
Yep, he emailed me afterwards.
Okay, any questions on that? Which one you got there?
Pretty standard.
This is 3460.
Okay, you gonna pass that around, or you,
No.
are you signing any?
Everything on their side, I did. You're all right.
You can start that way. if you want.
Well, not on
Well, I
this one.
tried to, she wouldn't let me.
Was there any objection or no agreement?
No, no objection. 3463 Country Walk.
I'm sorry, lot 109 was approved.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly, but we were going for it or not.
Well, that we just, yeah.
Okay.
Just
Every-
approve.
We don't have to do a motion on it.
Everybody said approved, I didn't hear anybody say
So
it.
what are we voting at, 3463?
Yes, and I wholeheartedly.
So, pain in the neck
I-
again?
I don't think we should do it at all.
I definitely voting no.
That's, you know, when you're trying to make the neighborhood fancy,
Yeah,
you're gonna be sorry you do white.
it's ivy.
Yeah, same thing.
Same color house.
And then,
So are we saying yes?
yes. Sorry. I can get even faster if you want to.
Well, I didn't hear anybody
Question on
say approved.
3493.
Yes.
Do you still need the approval of the city of Port Orange, if the city of Port Orange, or?
Well, that would be up to me to get it. Yeah, but yes, you're supposed to get permits,
Yeah.
but they'll let you cut down, they don't care. I may-
That wasn't always the case.
Now, the palm trees they'll let you cut, they approve. It's the other type trees sometimes that don't approve.
No, because
But you do.
before the 2004 hurricane, I tried to get, I had 4 palm trees on my property, 5 of them before. I tried to get them cut down, I said no. I said, okay. And after 2004, when 4 of them come on my roof, he said, oh, you can cut them down. It was a little late, you know, but I cut down the bottom. I said, there weren't a lot of palm trees that were cut. Persons over there?
I'll find out.
Okay.
And
I'll put a file in the.
I'll put it out there, I may or may not cut the palm tree down.
When I come and visit you, I'll put a file in the case.
So we
I may not do it.
Well, I haven't said that yet, but I'm sure.
Are we gonna let Rocky take down his palm tree?
We're not sure about the city.
Well, as long as the city sends
That's
it.
the only one I haven't.
Rocky,
Yes.
she's asking a question about an area.
Are we approving, lot 103's palm tree removal?
Yes, we are. I am. You
You're
want me to
not,
sign?
they are.
I'm not.
You're not,
Just remember,
you're not approving.
I said no.
I thought I'd get,
We're down to the ones that have.
okay, now
Are we
3432.
doing, excuse me, before you go, are we gonna say approved, based on city,
Well, I think it says in there that homeowner is responsible for any.
Yeah. There's really nothing to do with the
All I'm
association.
getting is the ARB.
okay.
So Rocky, I have a question about the ARVs that you have.
Yes.
When were they given to you? And I'm asking for a reason.
24-hour.
I don't know, I'd have to-
Because I received one yesterday, which
On who?
was Sunday. And I
Is
responded,
Catherine Carter?
it might have been Katie Carter.
I got it Friday, I believe.
So I got it last night at 8 PM.
Did I
So-
send you that?
No, it was from her. Or I guess, oh, you copied, or she copied Linda and you. I know that they want to start the first week of June, but it's up to you guys.
I got it too. I got it Friday. And I just held on to it because I said I'd bring it, and then it showed up on the...
I mean, it's just a roof, so it's not like anything
Yeah,
that you guys.
yeah. Anyway, let me get back to this. Did I do 3432 Spring Oak? Replacing?
Yeah,
we
the
did.
driveway.
This is another copy of it.
What was the address on that?
We did that
Yeah,
already.
you got it already.
Oh, that was the one with the papers?
34 and 34 Spring Oak. Catherine Carter. She wants, oh, I know what that was.
No, never mind.
The email was,
What is the one you're talking
It
about?
was a request for a new roof.
no, it was something else, and in addition, she wanted to do a roof, and she said she would be sending it. I can look it up on my email, but there was something else on the email, and I took care of that, and then she sent this. But she had it in the original.
Oh, yeah, the only thing I have is from
I'll
last
look
night
it up
at 8
here in a
PM.
minute and tell you what it is. Anyway, they want to replace the roof. They're going to put the sand dune, which is that sand color that everybody's doing, the light sand. 2 other houses have it there. Small brown house and another house on here. I went by and looked. She's right. It's the same ones I've got on my house. You know, the ones we've been approving so much, the sand, light sandstone looking color, that's what she's putting in there. So I didn't ask her for a sample. You can approve or not approve, it's up to you. Let me know.
But then we require that.
Well, we do, usually, frequently we don't if we know what it's going to be, but yes. In fact, I believe we just approved one for Pam, and it's the same sample.
color?
Yeah. And I didn't push it because I knew what color she was doing, and I knew I could explain the color. If you don't want to approve it, let me know, and we'll get back with it. I certainly understand if you do. But it was late, and I said, well, I'll take it. Assessment, the dues, the assessment dues, Tiffany. Remember I was talking with you about it? She wanted to know how much she owed, and I sent that to you. You responded, we sent it back to her, resolved it, and in the same email, she said she wanted to turn in the ARB and would be getting that to us.
Yeah, and then, yeah, I'm just saying I didn't get that until Sunday night.
Yeah. Of course, she was very happy that you got back with her so fast on those amounts. So did we approve that or not approve it?
Yes.
Well, I did. Okay.
Then I have one for, it's not on your list, 3447 Gelding, replace 4 windows. They are white.
They're white currently and being replaced with
They're
white?
being replaced with white. I don't know what they are now.
Who's 3447?
Chester.
Chester, yeah.
I
Yeah, they're
believe all
white.
the trimmings are
I
white.
think they are.
Yeah, I think it was.
So this is what they're gonna put in?
That's the style.
Oh. Looks okay to me.
that up.
Did you?
It was this group of garage.
Just want to quickly point out, sprinklers have pretty much all been fixed. I haven't seen any more flags up. Still haven't gotten a bill from him. I did finally get all his information for the vendor update, but I'm waiting for his bill. Under new business, you may or may not notice if you go in and out of Madeline, the stone pillars have all been pressure washed, and the wrought iron fencing in between's been pressure washed, and I believe the gentleman was out there today doing some painting, and we're going to set a date for doing Saul's entrance. Yeah. And they also planted some flowers and did a little bit of mulching there on that end that we talked about in the last meeting. Okay. So then I'm going to go to, if you take one copy and pass around that. You take one copy. You got a copy, and you can just pass these around. There's a couple, take one of these and pass it around.
Is one of those good something?
We have an extra. She can have it if she'd like. I don't know if she wants it.
I love having more paperwork.
You know what? I may
You
get-
should not be
I
any
may
different
take
than
out my copy. Give me back
You can
that.
have mine.
I did one.
I just need a scan copy for your files.
I think
Glad I
that's
printed
what
mine
I
out.
Okay, couple, if you look at this sheet here, the lawn care estimates sheet, I need you to make a couple adjustments. Yellowstone, the second down from the top, instead of 2479, if you cross that out and put 2148, and I'll tell you why in a second. And then at the very bottom, under Brightview, if you would add the Ormond Beach Custom Cuts, and that would be 1,700.
Add that to the 1942?
No, just, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 estimates.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Is that an even 1,700?
Yes. Okay, and let me, we went over, as you recall, lawn enforcement in the last meeting, and I think I gave this to Pam to review, so she's up on it. And you remember that's at 1785. Okay, the Yellowstone, the copy like this that I gave you, if you look at where, I think it's the first one, the core maintenance services price sheet, looks like this. I hope it's on the front. If you would look at the second down, it says pest management. I talked to him about not having that in there, so I subtracted that out. I also talked about not having irrigation inspections because they wanted $1,980 to do it. So I took that out. So that's actually $2,148, not $2,479. You follow me? You look here. Up here it has extra fee for, I can't read it upside down. Extra fee for fertilization and pest control. We already have Pure Core, which used to be Aaron's, that's doing that. So I subtracted that off after I spoke with them. Also, they're charging us $1,980 for irrigation inspection, and I took that off. So it ends up at $2,148 a
Well, but
month.
this says 29,748.
Yes,
So-
that's a year.
That's with those charges. So I had to pull them out.
70 something here.
Okay, So, and I asked you to change Yellowstone to 2148, but that's how I got the numbers to put there, okay? And it has, on the second page, the calendar of cuttings, frequency, and all that good stuff. And then it has on the third page, my third page is not necessary, the last page, I don't know if I gave you 3 pages before. It gives you the mowing specifics and all that they want to do, and the trimming and so forth and so on, for you to look at real quick. Let's see if I can find it. I think you would agree that on all of them, we've had issues with the branches being at a certain height and when they'll cut them and so forth, trimming. The lawn enforcement Yellowstone clean cut. And if you wanted to throw Brightview in there, which I do because they gave us an increase, so that, as far as I'm concerned, an estimate. They all know about the ditch, the swale, the weeds growing up problem, the water problem in the ditch, all that stuff, and are well aware of it. The Ormond Beach custom cuts, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit. We'll get back to some specific questions if you want to ask them on certain things. The Ormond Beach custom cuts, somebody recommended we talk to them, and I did, and they just called me back today and sent this today. I asked them, I talked to them Friday, and they said they'd send this by today. I asked them if they would come and ride the area, so I can point out the common areas to them. Not necessary. They don't need to. So I said, you don't think we should get together and look at the common area so you'll see exactly what we are wanting to do? No, I'm very familiar with your areas. I said, okay. So they know nothing. They don't know what areas I wanted. I say I mean the board, the HOA. They don't know anything about the swale. They don't know anything about the lake measurements and how far to go, or the big swale going to Saul's, or the swale, the cutting the park area at Madeline, or none of that. But they said they'd do it for $1,700. I said, you want to look at it? No, don't need to. I don't know what to think of it. We can discuss it if you want to. But other than clean cut turf, I think that one is strictly just throw it out and pile. I don't think we should pay $60,000 a year to have grass cut. Brightview, we know the history, we know what's going on there. It's going to be $1,942, and the issues we're having currently and in the past are still going to be there, in my opinion. Ormond Beach, might want to follow up, might want to convince them to do it, but I'm shaky on that one. So, as far as the other two, law enforcement, Yellowstone, they're basically the same kind of company, the same size of company. They're in several states and places, and you can see the difference there. Law enforcement was $1,785, Yellowstone is $2,148. And if you want to follow up with the Ormond Beach Customs, I can certainly do that. So, what do you have to say?
I'd like to talk about the Ormond Beach, because I'm the one who contacted them. They do those townhomes behind us. I think they do a pretty good job. I went over and talked to them, and I said, can you tell me about your company? I thought you were from Brightview. He goes, no, what happened was Brightview needed to give out work. They gave them this job, this contract. I don't know if somebody must know something. And I said, well, we were looking to get a new company. I said, we got like 12 acres to mow. We got the swales, we got in between each house, we got a common area, we got a couple lots. He said, yeah, because I'll do it, I'll be right news price. I said, okay. He said, right now, we're paying 17 for Brightview, because I'll do it for that.
We're not supposed to tell anybody what to say.
President.
So I figured, hey, if it was less than what we're paying, we're paying actually more for Brightview.
Mr. President, answer the question. So you would say he knows the area without having to inspect it, measure the home?
That's my point, you know, the area.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comment on it?
I would like them to look at the property and see what all's involved, because you can't see the swale over at this end from up here and that other subdivision. There's areas that I don't see how you can possibly. Right, but we have so many other common area places, how would you see them?
Yeah, he doesn't see the swale behind.
I would feel more comfortable with him saying.
No, Foxconn Court, if he's over by Saul's Road, he doesn't see that.
We have a lot on Spring Oak, and we
I
have
think
all
he does
these
a couple lots
places.
there and stuff. So he does have to come out, I'd say he would have to come out and look at it before he's done.
Okay, so going back to it then, the law enforcement in the Yellowstone, I looked online at those companies and got an idea, and they are, I don't remember which is which, one's nationwide, one is all over Florida, and I think Georgia and some other places. They're professional commercial companies. I looked online for Ormond Beach custom cuts. They have no reviews. But they're also listed as Potter's Lawn Care. Better Business Bureau and all those don't have any bad marks against them, scores. It's just that when you do look online, you don't really see. I did see they're in business for 10 years. They do commercial, they do land. There's like 3 or 4 companies that fall under this umbrella. And there's landscaping cutting, and then there was also a there was a listing wanting help. That's not flagged because everybody does. But, so, I guess, yeah.
When's our contract? When do we need to
We
renew?
give 30-day notice, but the
So,
increase is going this month,
This month, so, okay.
if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I gave you in
Right.
fact, the letter that they sent it, I have it here, but I believe it's April. But we have a lawn care company. We're gonna have to pay $200 more a month, but we don't have to be in a hurry.
So we're already obligated to the additional 200 to Brightview, that brings us up to the 1942?
Yes.
Okay.
And glad you mentioned that because, of course, I have a little stick in my craw about that because we had in the contract a certain percentage of increase per year, and they just basically threw that out and gave us a $200 a month increase. So I thought that was kind of crappy. And then we've had consistent problems that I'm not saying we won't have with whoever we go with, but so anyway, I'm going to put it out there one more time. We'll go around and see if we want to put it off and have me try to get these people interested in at least looking at our property, or if you want to even pursue it. If not, we need to make a decision on law enforcement, Yellowstone, or Brightview. So, Jim, what would you do?
I wouldn't reach out to them. If that position and that's their position, I would make our decision without it.
Michelle?
I would consider Ormond if, but it sounds to me like they've kind of made up their mind that they don't need to lock the property, which I'm not comfortable with, because then if they don't know the property, they can say, well, we didn't know. If they want to come out and look, I would consider them, but if not, I liked law enforcement from meeting with them last month. I liked everything they presented, and I felt like they gave a thorough explanation. So I would say, based on the estimates we have, I would like law enforcement unless this company will come out. That I would consider them.
I feel the same way Michelle does, that if they're not willing to lock the property, we need to look someplace else. Because, if they don't walk the property, they may not know that like behind my house is, you know, an area that's common property, but it would look like it was common property from the street. And, so I'd go with law enforcement too when I read their proposal. I would have the best.
Do you have anything to add, or you want?
No, I just, when I talked to the gentleman, he has the same crew, 4 guys, every with him, that's been with him for a while. And I liked his philosophy and the way he did the lots, and I just look at what he's done over there, and I think it looks nice.
Well,
So if he comes out and looks at the property, I agree with him.
I don't have an issue with his work or what he's doing or not doing. I have an issue with if you don't think you need to come, and then I'm gonna call you and complain to you because you didn't do something, you're gonna say to me, well, you never showed me. I don't wanna get in that
Well, no, I
position.
just think they should come,
So-
before they sign it, they should come look at it.
Yeah.
You're considered if you look, if you should,
Well,
you know.
of course, but what I'm saying is,
Present it to them.
I asked them, they refused. Do I want to, please come look at our lot? Please, let us give you this contract, please?
Well, I would just
You
say
know, that's
that-
how I see it. But anyway,
I would suggest that you call them, tell them we're considering, but they have to come out and inspect the property. If they're not willing to do that, then we'll go on to someone else. We should put them on notice.
okay, so you
Either
guys want to
come.
push it forward another month?
You know, so in sense of, are we gonna vote on the contract, which one we want? Is that what we're at?
That's what I was shooting for, to let's make a decision on who we want.
I'll go for that. I don't think
If you
we-
want to wait another 30 days, we got to pay for review anyway, but it's up to you guys.
I would go for the decision now.
Okay, he wants to go now, where do you want to go?
You said we have to pay right for the next 30 days.
Yeah, we're already into the 200 extra a month. This
Yeah,
next
you're
month
into
will
the
be $200 more, it'll be $1,900.
That's the month of May or the month of June?
It'll be for April, I believe, won't it, Tiffany?
Yeah, I believe that started April 1st.
It'll be
So-
$1,942.05.
So it'll also be for this month of May, and if we don't meet till June.
Yeah, but it's going to be, I think, on April's revenue expense. We're paying it already.
Yes, I'm just saying, we're already obligated to pay April and May.
Then we got to do a 30-day.
We have to give them 30 days notice.
And they may not.
Can we submit the 30-day notice knowing that we're getting rid of them?
Yeah,
If this company will come out, say within a week and give us an estimate, then we could consider the 2, but if they don't, if they're not willing to come out, then can we go ahead and vote to pick the company we want and give Brightview notice and move forward the month of June?
I would say we could do whatever the board
Can we do that,
would like to
Tiffany?
do if they want to vote on it.
if we've already decided we're going on with another company, we should just go ahead and notify Brightview.
We can notify them, we just need to make sure that the other company's ready to start.
Yeah, I, just based on my history of businesses, I don't think it's smart or wise to let somebody know you're gonna dump them before you get somebody to replace them. Sometimes that backfires, sometimes it doesn't, but I don't think it's good business practice to do it, but we can do that. I'm not gonna say no more about that. Let's decide. Let's have can I get a motion to either, let's choose to pick one of the 5 or wait another 30 days for the next board meeting? Can I get a
I'll make a
motion?
motion that we make the decision now, we pick one of the 5 in front of us.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. So that's 3-2. So, you guys stop me if I'm confused here, but I think that leaves law enforcement or Yellowstone.
We're voting on it.
Yeah, you can vote on any one of the
Vote on
5.
any one of them.
Yeah, sure, I'm sorry. Yes, okay. So, The vote is going to be lawn enforcement, Yellowstone, clean cut turf, Brightview, or Ormond Beach custom cuts. I'll give you the prices one more time. I agree, I think most of you would agree, you don't always go with the price. But sometimes the lower price is the best, sometimes it's not. Lawn enforcement is $17.85 a month. Well, let me go from the cheapest to the most expensive. Ormond Beach custom cuts is $1,700 a month without them looking at the job in any way. Lawn enforcement is $17.85. Brightview is $19.42, and you have that sheet. And then clean cut is $5,000. So,
Who do I vote for?
who do you vote for, Jim?
Law enforcement.
Okay, you have one. Michelle?
Based on tonight's information, I would go with law enforcement.
2, Pam?
Law enforcement.
Linda?
I vote we go with Ormond Beach if they don't come out and see the property.
If they don't
If
come
they,
out.
no, if they
Yeah.
come out and see the property.
Okay, and I would go with law enforcement, I think. So, all in favor?
So you vote?
We already voted, yeah. Okay, so I will contact law enforcement. And Tiffany, do we need to give an official letter? Would you handle that? And can you let me know, so I don't have to figure it out and forget, when Brightview's last job will be, so I can tell law enforcement?
I would say that they would probably start mid-June. Because I can get the letter out this week, because it'll go out certified.
Mid-June?
Yeah, I'd say June 10th, just to be on the safe side. Or that week, I guess that first week.
And I can't recall whether Yellowstone or law enforcement or both contacted you with their information when they, one of the two.
I
Did
think
everything
I
I
have law enforcement set up already. I want to say that they were already set up in the system.
So there won't be any lag time on getting that information to you.
No, there shouldn't.
I mean, I'll let the guy know that.
Could you thank you thank you for their,
You know, I already gave him one.
they also, I asked for receipts for what they put in and said they're donating it.
Mr. President, motion to adjourn.
Anybody second? Motion is adjourned. I mean,
We didn't finish everything on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Well, motion to adjourn is never out of order, but you're right.
okay, we're at the Homeowners Forum.
Right.
Forum. Anybody want to speak that's an owner?
Oh, excuse me, but
What did we not do?
when did we discuss the pressure washing with Madeline?
Yeah, I already talked about that.
You did say that? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk.
And the arrears and Nova?
Yeah, we went over that one.
Yeah.
We went over the energy report.
Okay.
It was just on, for order.
Okay. And finding committee?
We talked about that when I was so passionate about the
The fact that you
violations.
haven't met yet, was that all you were
Yeah,
going to talk
yeah,
about?
yeah.
I'll withdraw the motion so that you can go to the owner.
Okay. Any owners like to speak? No, okay.
Mr. President, motion to adjourn.
I second.
The meeting is adjourned.
Call for a vote.
You don't have to have a vote for adjournment, do you?
You do.
Oh,
You make a
vote.
motion, you got to.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.